Today, we're going to talk about why your best isn't good enough. And I'm going to be honest, I'm recording this for the person that needs to hear it, the younger me that I wish somebody had just been this direct with me. And we are back with another episode of the Julius Files. And today, if you're still so young that you're full of piss and vinegar and cocky and arrogant and you think that your best is good enough, well, then this probably isn't for you. And you're probably going to need to fall on your face and find the definition of insanity. And then maybe you can actually come back and hear this. But I've had to be the bearer of bad news. And when I say bad news, it's just delivering the honest truth to people that your best is not good enough. And it took me a lot of years to understand what that meant. When I was younger, much like everybody else, my best was not good enough, like not by far, but I didn't know it. And I've always been pretty humble by nature. Mine was literally having to destroy everything that I built before finding that definition of insanity. And like when I decided that I was going to leave Chrysler and start Coffee Junkies, I went on a tear reading books. And what got me to the point of actually quitting Chrysler is that I had read enough books and examples of people that had been able to create something from nothing and be successful at it. So my viewpoint was, well, they're not special. They're no better or worse than me. So if they can do it, it's proof that it can be done. And I struck out on my own, believing that if somebody had proven it could be done, that I was capable of doing it. What I didn't research or try and understand was the massive failure rate that was up against those examples of success. I didn't know that they were the one of 100 that had actually achieved. And now that I know that, which is again another reason where I will tell people, don't do it. Like, you are not built for entrepreneurship. The vast majority of people have no business waiting in this pool. I think a lot of it comes down to because most people think that their best should be good enough, and what they need to hear is your best is not good enough, and that's okay. Much the same way of Alcoholics Anonymous, where the first thing is admitting that you have a problem. And with me, it was destroying my business and then coming back and saying, you know what? I read of success stories. What am I doing wrong? And when I started actually dissecting what I was doing wrong, it was me realizing I wasn't leveling up. Like, I was taking the hits as they came. I was willing to make decisions right or wrong and admit when they were wrong and back up and try and do them right. But I wasn't searching information to actually level up my skills to make my best better. And I say it like that because I think most people use I gave my best as an excuse, when the reality is they're not even coming close to giving their best. Because if you are truly giving your best, well, at a bottom line, you're going to be at least doing what's necessary. And somebody that is truly doing their best, well, they're going to do percentage points more than what is necessary, because like in entrepreneurship or success in life, doing what's necessary is the actual baseline itself. So what I'm getting at is that, again, we go back to, I've said many times, too many people think that they get through high school or they get through college and that the learning is done, that they're just supposed to go out into the world and do. And I can remember being that age. I mean, 30 years ago, I thought that I had learned and I was ready to just do and experience. And it was when the light bulb clicked that I didn't know shit, and that life is a learning journey, and all of the information that is out there to absorb and learn and apply to the next day. Like, it was fascinating to me at that moment of realization when I saw the beauty of there is more to learn than you can learn in a lifetime. But the more that you learn every day purposely, the more you're able to apply to the next day. And that's where I come back to if you can't get to that mindset, you should not be in entrepreneurship, because the problem is you've got too many people that are just regular employees and they think their best should be good enough. And those people fucking suck because they're not trying to get better. They're not trying to just do what's necessary. They're trying to be the victim to say whatever effort they actually gave, that effort should be good enough. And most of the time, not even close, does not even come close to what is good enough. Especially, like I said, we come back to my personal core values: respect, rapport, reputation. If you literally want people to respect you, if you want to have good rapport with people, if you want to continue to build and develop a good reputation, well, you have got to be leveling up so that your best is always getting better. People will want rapport with you. They will want to give you respect. They will admire the reputation that you've built if you are always actively showing that you are purposely trying to make your best better every day. I'm saying all of that because, again, to the individual that needs to hear it, somebody akin to my younger self, I don't know, maybe someday my son actually stumbles across this. Somebody needs to hear this because it is tough love and it is medicine. But the simple fact is, I'm doing this hoping that it gets to one person, that light bulb goes off with one person. Like, pick up a book, listen to a podcast, watch something on a screen or television that has more than just mind-numbing couch potato trash. And I'm not knocking that, because there are times where I just came back from Indianapolis, and most of the time when I drive, I will listen to podcasts. That just wasn't today. I just felt like relaxing. So I turned on music and I chilled out and I drove. But 99% of the time, I'm listening to podcasts for information, because I realize that I'm 19 years, coming up on 20 years in my entrepreneurial journey. In my first 5 years, my best was not even close to being good enough. Like, in the first 10 years, my best was barely good enough. I don't even feel like my first 5 years, I was kidding myself. 5 more years, hitting 10 years. Okay, I might have been to the point of becoming a veteran entrepreneur, but proficiency at best. And proficiency is barely above average. Like, good. Proficiency is above average. Good is above 90%. Great is you are a 1%er. But none of that comes natural. And any entrepreneur, being honest with you, will tell you that. And they will also tell you the only way you go from not knowing shit to proficient to good to great is purposely seeking knowledge, purposely going to other people and saying, I don't need to learn this lesson myself. I can learn from other people's mistakes, and I can look to other people for guidance as to where the good information is, because part of good information is just information that will lead you to asking the right questions to get to answers faster. What I'm trying to implore with people in general, maybe some of it has to do with this generation, you can do more, you can be more, you can be better. And if you want people to respect you and actually look at you with any type of admiration whatsoever, you have to invest in yourself purposely. It's like, if I talk to anybody on my team and I talk about the books that I read or the podcasts that I listen to or the amount of miles that I walk every day, the number one, I don't have time for that. Bullshit. Everybody has time to be leveling up in some way. It's a question of how are you managing your time? How are you prioritizing your time? What are you doing to actually grow and develop as a human being? Like, because your level of contribution to society, to the team that you work with, to the family that you're in charge of, it is only as good as what you are capable of being, and your capabilities are only as good as the information that you're actually seeking out. Like, it is average and below are the people that only look to learn through high school and college and just apply what they learned in their younger years of life. It is the people that move to above average and good and great that they purposely seek out information to learn and grow every day of their life. And I'm saying this like we're gearing up. One of the companies that I own is gearing up to actually do an event. And part of it is embroidery. And I got one of the hats out and I said, I want the word autodidact on this hat. And she looked at me and she was like, I don't even know what that word means. Nobody's willing to buy that hat. And I was like, most people won't. But there will be one person that will know what the definition of that is, and they'll want to buy that hat. Because an autodidact is somebody that is self-taught, somebody that takes it upon themselves to seek out information, to learn and grow and become above average, becoming good, moving to great. Because you can't be a one percenter if you're not willing to do what a one percenter does. And a one percenter early on in their journey, they sacrifice the time of going out and fucking off and moving that time towards learning and growing and actually developing. So I encourage everybody, your goal should be to proudly label yourself as an autodidact, because you are literally purposely trying to learn and grow and develop so that you can add it to the next day. Because I mean, like, anybody that says time is money, like, they're full of shit. You can always make more money. You can never get back time. But when you look at the amount of days that you have in life, while yes, it will move fast. I'm sitting here at 49 years old and I'm like, man, I'm glad that about 10 years ago, I literally started trying to learn something new every day, because I got another 30, 40, 50 years left. And all of that information that I purposely sought out, I'm going to be able to apply it to the next and to the next and to the next. And while inside of the food and beverage industry, I can say that I am somewhere between good and great, there is many other pieces of life and of business that no, I am proficient at best, but I'm actively seeking the information so that I can move to good and eventually to great. Because if I'm going to do something, I don't want to do anything half-assed. I don't want to do it below average or average. You can call me a lot of things, but you will not call me average, because you won't see me doing anything that I'm just average at. Either I'm doing it and I'm trying to get to good and great, or I'm not fucking with it because I don't have time to devote to it to get to good and great. Because what is the point investing time in something that you're just going to half-ass, job or personal life, because you're not going to get a good result? And nobody's going to give a shit. They're actually going to think lesser of you because you're giving a half-assed effort. And then you're going to sit back as a victim and wonder why they just roll their eyes at you. You're not trying to level up your best so that when you say, I gave it my best, I gave it my all, the proof is in the evidence of the actual result itself. It's okay that your best is not good enough. It's an opportunity to learn and grow and develop. And likely is, when your best finally is good enough, you'll decide that you want to take on another endeavor in life. And you need to understand your best isn't going to be good enough for a long time. That doesn't mean that you can't move to proficiency quickly. That doesn't mean that you can't get to above average and good fairly quickly. But being humble about it and understanding your best is rarely ever good enough. And if you stop talking that trash about best and start talking about doing what's necessary and then doing it well and then doing what you've got to do plus an extra 1%, then you actually start getting to the point where somebody else will look at you and say, I don't know if that's your best or not, but it is good enough. And I do appreciate what you bring to the table. Instead of you playing the victim and being like, well, I gave my best, when people know you're being a victim, you're full of shit, you're not giving your best. And then you wonder why you're not developing respect, rapport, and reputation. Invest in yourself, learn, develop, and grow every day. It will serve you well throughout all of your years. I promise. All right. That's my pod. Till next time. Have a good night.